You were listening to 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. This is Breaking the Ice, and I am here, Connor Cupen, by myself. I am here by myself at the moment. Waiting on Campbell Donovan. There he is. The man is in the building. And we're waiting on one other guest here. We have a little bit of a smaller squad today, but it's all good because we are back for the third edition of the 2-hour shows here on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. Campbell, how's it going, my man?
Going great, Connor. Talking to Laura before, listening to my emo phase. Great song selections.
Great selections, absolutely.
Had to sing to a couple of them before our show came on. But a lot of hockey to talk about, like you said, previously before we got on air. World Juniors. Getting to the middle part of the season.
Yeah, we're
All-Stars
like
came
40
out.
games in, like little less than 40 for some teams, so we're almost right at the dead halfway mark. All-Stars did come out, so we will have to review all that. But first of all, I want to you haven't been on here in a little while, so you missed all of our World Juniors discussion. And now that the tournament is over, I want your opinions on what you liked, what you saw, what you're excited for.
I'll give you my one take. Connor Bedard is a absolute stud.
And he's only 17.
Only 17, is wearing a fishbowl for regulated rules, and he did not get a point in the gold medal game. But that's okay because Team Canada, they're just a bunch of studs.
That was an entire wagon of a squad there. Before last episode, I believe our last show was on the day of the semifinal. And to my knowledge, the semifinals it was Sweden versus
Chechnya.
The Czech team, right. So the semifinal, Czech beat Sweden 2-1, and Canada beat US 2-6.
Yeah, well, if you want to go in that route, Team USA with, first 2 goals in the game, and then, stuff happened where goals weren't allowed.
Yeah.
And then Canada just goes on a route. But Bedard scored the first goal for Canada in that semifinal, and then, the Canadians just went crazy on the Americans, and Team USA couldn't recover from that.
The Czech-Sweden game. This Czech team was one of the more underrated teams in this entire tournament. They honestly looked like a top 3 team all tournament long, and they win. I believe they were down going into the third period against Sweden.
Yeah, I believe they scored like 2 straight goals, I think.
It was, they were down, and they scored at like that's about 9 minutes in to the third. How did it happen? I'm trying to remember how the game went.
Well, if you want to talk about another, medal game, that bronze medal game was insane.
7-8 in an overtime
Team
win
USA.
for Team USA.
It was absolutely crazy, and Team USA blew two different leads in that game, and they couldn't, put the Swedes away, but luckily they did in overtime, and it was crazy. And I was looking on Twitter, and people were like, "Oh my goodness, this can't be happening! What are the Americans doing?" And it was a lot back and forth. And if you could listen to the crowd, it was an all-Canadian crowd, and nobody was cheering for Team USA. And they all went crazy after every Sweden goal.
I believe that. I believe that a 7-8 game is like, it's hard to imagine scoring 7 goals and you lose.
Yeah, I mean,
I can only imagine what that's
think
like.
about the Seattle Kraken.
What? That's true.
And
The
then the
Kraken
Kings.
did. I think they scored. Did they score 8 goals and lose? Was that 9-8?
Yeah.
So that's even worse. But in that game, the U.S. weren't they down about? I don't even.
No, they were up.
They were up.
They were up, and they had a couple leads on Sweden, and they just gave them up.
Yeah, up 1-0 at the end of the first. Then 2-0. They ended up being up 3-1. Then they give up the lead 3-3, took it back 5-3 again, then gave it up 5-5, all within the same period, because Sweden scored 2 goals in 30 seconds towards the end of the second period. So they had the game tied 5-5. And then in the last period, Sweden got the lead.
Yeah.
Luke Hughes ties the game. And then the U.S. takes the lead on a power play. But Sweden ties the game again.
Yeah,
So
they just couldn't protect the lead.
And that was at the very end of the third period. I believe 30 seconds left. Sweden ties the game. So then overtime, the U.S. just win. 2 minutes into overtime, they get the bronze medal, but the gold medal game. Another classic. I wish the Czechia team won. I really do.
They deserved it. They deserve to win that game, but Canada, and Dylan Gunther. Yeah, Dylan Gunther. And him scoring was absolutely crazy. The golden goal for them. I mean, you have the tournament in Halifax. And
I've been there once before, actually.
Did you?
I went there when I was 12 years old for a wedding. I've been to Halifax.
Crazy. That's crazy.
All the way on the far east of Canada, a whole different time zone, everything than the Eastern time zone in America. And
how many hours are they back?
1 hour in front of us. So right now it's 2:14 there.
So it's like is it like east of Canada, like east?
It's more east than Maine, because Canada extends further east than the U.S. It's like probably the only part of Canada that's an hour ahead.
Wow, that's interesting.
Very, and that gold medal game, 1-0 at the end of the first because Gunther scored, and then Shane Wright scores in the second period.
Gnarly backhand goal. That was sick. That goal was sick, and it was on his birthday too, and he's now a part of the Winter Spitfires.
I saw that trade, OHL trade.
I think it works perfect for him because I think people knew that he was gonna get sent down or sent back to juniors because of how his progression was, and I hate that for him. I hated that for him because I mean he came out as this big prospect and everyone thought he was gonna go to the Habs. He didn't get picked.
Then he didn't get picked again. Then he got picked again.
He got picked by Seattle. He was looking at the Habs, organization, giving them a dirty look, and and he scored his first NHL goal, and his play was declining, and then he got sent down. Then he's on the World Juniors team, wins a gold medal, and then next day he gets sent down to Kingston, and then Kingston's ready to trade him, and everyone thought he was going to go to London Knights for all these picks, but he didn't. Then he winds up in Windsor.
Yeah. Such a huge trade. I saw all these players.
Junior hockey in general is is very out of the ordinary at times because you got the Memorial Cup coming up and you got guys who are being sent to the junior teams and who are in the league and whatnot or who are trying to get to the NHL.
And I just want to circle back to the Canada-Czech game. After the Shane Wright goal, 2-0 at the end of the second period, the Czech dropped 2 goals in a minute. In 1 minute. At around the 12 and 13 minute mark. They tied the game. It goes into overtime. That would have been the icing on the cake, because this was the only team to beat Canada outside of the gold medal game. You know what I mean? They're the team that gave them the biggest fight. It was the biggest chance of Canada losing. Was to this Czech team. And, just I was hoping they could pull out the victory, upset this Canada team that had these huge aspirations, and they acted so cocky. They were the All-Star team. They lose their first game, and it turns out not the case as Gunther scores in overtime. But we have another guest joining us today. Nem is back, everybody, from her long-awaited hiatus of this show, and we missed her so much. Nem, I'm bringing you the conversation. How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Fantastic. We've been going for about 10 minutes now, talking about the World Juniors. Do you watch World Juniors much?
I did not.
You follow it at all?
A
Even
little.
if you didn't watch it. And, Luke Hughes did score goals. That's all that matters at the end of the day.
That is all that matters. That's all that matters to me.
Okay. I mean, Luke. I thought he had a good tournament, in my opinion. But like, if you're Luke Hughes, I think he's a little upset that they did not get into the gold medal game, and I think that's like my take on that because.
I mean, of course, you can question the officiating in the semifinal.
See, that's why I wanted to mention, but I was inching towards not wanting to mention that. What is goaltender interference? What is not?
You can't not mention it. You got to mention it. I saw Daniel post the goaltender interference.
Daniel Moya was not happy.
Not happy about the goaltender interference. IIHF rules. Do you like the scoring system though, where a win is 3 points, but an overtime win is only 2 points? Do you like that? Are you a fan or are you not a fan?
I don't like that.
You don't like that?
I don't like it because I think it should be like the way like the NHL system works. A win is 2 points, and a overtime win, like you get a point in overtime. Then if you win, you get the point. If you don't get the point.
I don't know, because I feel like, all right, so obviously in European football, right, a win is 3 points and a loss is 0 and a draw is 1. That's cool. I feel like, how can an overtime loss really be half as valuable as a win? Is it really half as valuable as a win?
No, because you lost.
But in the NHL standings, that's the way they do it. A win is 2 points and an overtime loss is 1. So it's literally half as valuable.
I feel like if a win was like 3 points and an overtime loss was 1 point, then it would kind of make a little more sense.
That's cool. I'm fine with that. But you got teams making it into the playoffs just because they lost more games in overtime. I feel like, wow, that's such a participation trophy almost. Like, you lost more games than another team, but since they were in overtime, you make the playoffs and they don't. Because what? Like, a team like, I have to look at the standings real quick to just point it out, because there's some teams that lose games in regulation, but then there's others that lose a lot more in overtime. Like, for example, let's just pull out, I don't know, the Toronto Maple Leafs. They have 7 overtime losses. The Tampa Bay Lightning only have 1. So just for that, they have the same amount of wins, but Toronto has 6 more points than Tampa, just because more of their losses were after 3 periods as opposed to 1. That's ridiculous to me. That's ridiculous to me.
Hey, I'll tell you what. The Bruins have 4 overtime losses, but I mean they have 4 regulation losses. But I mean, look, the point system, you can argue it, but like I think it doesn't make a difference.
If you make a win 3 points, that'll make all the difference. No one will ever care about getting a point
they'll never make it like that.
European football is calling. If they had draws in the NHL,
they did.
I wonder if they went back to it.
They had ties, and then they had this thing called the shootout.
They added this thing called the shootout. I wonder what if there was just not even overtime, just after 3 periods, if they were tied, just a draw.
After 3-on-3 overtime.
Or no, just after 3 5-on-5 periods, just draw.
No,
not that.
We need overtime.
We can have overtime. I honestly like the shootout. I'm a fan of the shootout.
You know who needed overtime the other day?
Who?
The Devils.
The Devils. We can roll right into it. Let's get down to business here. As far as World Juniors go, congrats to Team Canada. They got the gold medal for back-to-back years. Czech team, amazing fight. Who is the defenseman on the Czech team, I believe?
Simon Nemec. Kid's gonna be a stud. He's gonna be a stud. And then you have Luke Hughes, and then maybe if Quinn Hughes comes.
Yeah, I made that joke last week. I'm like, what if you get all the brothers, just trade for Quinn? Like, imagine a power play of Quinn, Luke, and Jack. Like, just like that's your 3-on-3 overtime.
That's lethal.
Imagine your 3-on-3 overtime.
We
I
need
just
the Kings Jack Hughes too.
Yeah, all of them.
Oh yeah, what
Give to all of
about
them.
and that guy Jack Quinn too?
So I believe it's the Canucks have a situation like that. Elias Pettersson plays for the Canucks. They also have another prospect named Elias Pettersson, who was on the Swedish World Juniors team, and then they have another player with the last name Peterson. So they can have a Peterson line.
That's fun. That's fun.
The Panthers have both the Stahl brothers, but it's not fun. But it's not fun. That's the difference.
Oh, I'm sorry you feel that way.
Just
Connor.
need Jordan Stahl to complete the trio. But if you have all the Hughes brothers on one team, two of them are already in the same team. Just get Quinn. Just trade for Quinn. And Quinn is a great defenseman also. Like, that would actually be like a good addition to the team, not even just as a joke.
Yeah,
Like, he'd be a great addition
yeah.
to the team.
You know what's going on with Johnny Marinara
Johnny Mariner.
and but you know I think Miles Wood going down the other day kind of scared some fans, but he seems okay. My question is, will Dawson Mercer please get back into the top 6 after absolutely owning the Carolina Hurricanes?
After
last
absolutely owning the Carolina Hurricanes, he says. Now, let's just roll right into it.
I just want to talk about this past
Go right
weekend
ahead.
for
Go
the
right ahead.
Devils. Then, I don't know about you, but I did not watch the game because my TV wasn't working, and it wasn't working, but like it works, but like it goes blank, like the screen goes blank and comes and like pops back up. But I was recovering from surgery, and I was looking at my phone, and
He's
it
back,
was
boys.
it was 3-1, yeah, and it was 3-1, and Jack Hughes, with that goal, first goal, beating Igor, and Jesper Bratt, the best player in the National Hockey League, with a absolutely a snapper of a shot on the power play, I believe it was, and then Jack Hughes, getting loose puck and change, and burying that, and then flexing the jersey. I thought he was gonna pull an Aaron Judge and kiss the logo, but I don't think he's got that mentality yet. Even though he's got that 8 for 8, in the next 7 years, and obviously so Damon Severson, who gets a lot of flack, for his defensive plays and mishaps. He got benched earlier in the year.
His number one fan,
his
number one
fan was shocked that he scored, and we're all laughing on the group chat, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this team just beat the Rangers. And Connor, what time is it?
What time is it right now?
4 past Igor.
4 past Igor. John Giftopoulos and Alex Daly will love to hear that one. But let's roll right into the National Hockey League standings. At this point, we'll get into All-Stars. We got 2 hours, Campbell. This is going to be a breeze, no sweat. We got all day to go. And let's just bring it right in here with, starting off with the Pacific, of course. This has been the most boring division, I think, in the entire league.
Boring.
Like, they have made no shuffles. It's the same teams holding the same playoff spots every week.
And they're not good besides, one team.
What, Vegas?
Well, 2 teams. Vegas and, Carmen
Seattle.
David. Oh, wait, I forgot how wait. I apologize. I forgot how much of a turnaround the Kraken have had. Hey, Matty Beniers, stud.
I'll give them their credit. They've won 6 straight games. They won every game they played this week. They beat the Canes. You know what I mean? So I'm sure all the Metropolitan fans are loving that. A win against the Canes? Actually, no, I lied. They did not beat the Canes. My mistake. They did not beat the Canes. They beat the Maple Leafs. They beat Toronto, and they beat Buffalo. They played 4 Atlantic Division teams, actually. They played Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal, and Buffalo, winning all of them. They beat Ottawa 8-4. And they beat Toronto 5-1 and Montreal 4-0. So that's just straight dominance. But they're still second in that division due to the Kings having more losses in overtime and being ahead of them.
That's brutal.
They're 24-16 on the season, and they won 4 straight games, but they just need one more win. One more win to leapfrog, maybe 2, and they'll be second in the Pacific. Calgary, struggling. Edmonton, a couple bad losses this past week. And
Are they below Calgary?
Yes, they're both, but Calgary and Edmonton both have the wild card spots.
That's at least something.
Their one win was against the Islanders. They have one win in 2023 so far against the Islanders. They've lost to the Kraken, the Avalanche in overtime. They lost to the Kings 3-6. The story's the same. The goaltending struggles. That Jack Campbell gets pulled and Skinner doesn't know better. So
No, he's. I don't think Skinner's good. He's got some glimpses at times, but he's not good.
Vancouver, they were doing good, but they're just kind of meddling around right now. Anaheim got 2 wins. The Ducks were able to get 2 wins. They beat Dallas. 2-0. They beat San Jose 5-4 in overtime. Then they get destroyed. The Bruins beat them 7-1.
Put up a touchdown.
They put up a touchdown. Pasternak, Brad Marchand, Hampus Lindholm, Charlie Coyle, all the boys.
Studs.
All the boys scored a ton of goals.
I love it.
And, at least for Seattle, when they're going on this huge run there right now, Vince Dunn's been playing great hockey for them thus far. But I think they're going to make some noise. They're going to make noise. Seattle
Don't
and
they play
Vegas.
the Bruins next?
That's a huge game if they do. Seattle and Vegas, next year's Winter Classic game. Do you like the move? One of their Winter Classic games next year. The 2 newest teams in the league.
I like it a bit because it's 2 recent teams. It's 2 of the
2 of the newest teams in the league. I remember when both of them came in. Yeah.
Well, that's out of the ordinary at times. But I'll say this, I think it's good because it brings that market valuable, and having it at T-Mobile Park where the Mariners play.
Yeah, that's cool.
And the Mariners just making the playoffs.
Yeah.
Last year, and it's different because it doesn't snow in Seattle at times. Just to let you know.
Absolutely.
It always rains.
Just rains.
And I don't think.
What would happen if they rained on the ice? What would happen? What would they have to do?
You got the roof over it.
You
have the roof over it, and
Fair,
then
fair.
hey, no teams are gonna be sleepless in Seattle.
Yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely not. And one thing I was gonna say, Vegas. All the trash talked about in Vegas is fans and everything. They do sell out the arena every night, and they have a 103 attendance percentage.
There's a lot of anger in our group chat about the Vegas Golden Knights.
Vegas Golden Knights.
I don't understand.
It's just the fans, not the team.
The fans, I have no I don't know any Vegas Golden Knights fans, but the social team is cool. The team's good.
The team's
Bruce
good.
Cassidy was just announced as the Pacific Division coach for the All-Star game.
You know it.
And I don't have a problem with the Golden Knights, but I mean I can see why people don't like their fan base because they're still new, they're still learning the game.
I guess it's just because people just had a problem with first of all, go to the Stanley Cup final their first year of being a team.
Because they were playing for something more.
Yeah, and then that was a good cup final, by the way. Either Ovechkin gets a win or the Vegas wins in their first season ever, so that was really cool. One of them was going to be a good story. Next year, they still make the playoffs. The year after that, they make the semifinal. The year after that, I think they're also in the playoffs again. And they were in the conference finals in 2021. Last year was the first year Vegas misses the playoffs.
Wow.
So everyone was just cool. Cool.
Well, everyone was happy because they saw Logan Thompson.
He was yes.
Upset.
Everyone
and that made me mad because
Everyone loved
he
Logan
was playing
Thompson.
out of his mind for a team that was absolutely struggling. And then maybe little hot take here, future New Jersey Devil Timo Meyer. Guaranteed.
Whoa.
A victory. Maybe. I don't know. Hey, the Devils need a goal scorer, man. Besides Jack Hughes. That's all I'm saying.
Is
that's
he the
my,
whole offense right now?
Yes.
Daniel said that the other day. He's
Yes.
like, Jack Hughes is the whole entire offense.
You can't argue me with that because he's literally carrying this team. Right now, he's having that Hall-esque 2017-2018 team, 2018 season.
Yeah.
Where they went on this win streak and Keith Kincaid was playing out of his mind in goal, and they had to win out to get into the playoffs.
Jack Hughes is definitely carrying, but I think Dawson Mercer's kind of on the rise.
I think so too. I think Dawson's good too, and I will never forgive the Florida Panthers for beating the Bruins on the last day of the regular season, so the Devils had to play the Tampa Bay Lightning in the playoffs.
When was this? Which year was this? Last
2018.
year? 2018. At that point, I had lost touch with hockey. My love for it fell out because the Panthers made the playoffs in 2016 as the 2 seed, and they lost in the first round to the Islanders, who were the 7 seed. So I probably stopped watching for like 3 years.
Well, for the Panthers, they were probably a minute away from going to the next round.
Dude, I was
before John Tavares ruined that party.
Dude, I stopped watching for like 3 years after that.
Yeah.
So I had no clue what was going on.
I like how you mentioned Dawson Mercer, but like that top 6 is like that annoys me because like people are like giving Eric Hall a ton of not nice things about I mean what can he do Palat's back. I don't know. It's just like everyone doesn't like the third and fourth line. What can you do? You just have to stick with it. Once the Devils get their defense back and hopefully Tom Fitzgerald makes moves at the deadline, and can they please recall Akira Schmid back, please? I don't want to risk seeing Mackenzie Blackwood get shelled by Devils Twitter, because Devils Twitter is so toxic when it comes to it's like the pendulum swings on Devils Twitter. It's just they could go from happy as ever to be in the middle and towards oh, we're gonna lose this game, we have no faith in our team anymore. And then the other night before, they're down 3-1 to the Metro leading Carolina Hurricanes, and Dawson Mercer scores an unreal goal. Jesper Boquist ties the game, and then Dawson Mercer kicks the puck back to himself, goes backhand, forehand, Bobby Orr-esque with 11 minutes left in the third period, and Ryan Graves plays out of his mind the last minute of the game. And it's okay, now we're 2 months back from the Hurricanes. It's just this fan base, it's just I love it with all my heart. It annoys me. It annoys me because and I do it sometimes too, where it's it's a struggle because you want the team to be good, and the Devils fans are passionate, but it's sometimes people don't know what they're talking about.
So to the Devils fan base out there that people Campbell are talking about,
I might get some flack from Justin and Dan for what I'm saying, but I think they can agree with some points I'm trying to say, because it's just the Devils are back to finally get some respect, and they had that respect, and then December came along, and they absolutely just was a no-show in December, and they just kept losing, and it's we won one game in December, oh, we're back. I'm okay.
To those Devils fans out there that Campbell is talking about,
stop it. Get some help.
They need it. But let's roll over now. We're going to circle back there, but
I can't wait to talk about the All-Stars later.
Oh, we'll get there, yeah, for sure.
I'm excited.
Vegas, Kings, Seattle still holding the Pacific Division strong. Moving on to the Central Division. Dallas, Winnipeg, Minnesota still holding strong. The Wild did have a rough week, though. They lost to the Rangers in a shootout, got destroyed by St. Louis, and proceeded to lose to the Sabres in overtime.
Victor Olsen with the slap shot of the century in overtime. Buffalo's playing good hockey, man.
Buffalo
it's
is
like
playing good hockey.
It's like 2006 all over again.
I was 4
Like-
years old. How about y'all?
I mean, I was probably like 5. You know,
In 2006?
Yeah.
I was 3.
I mean, you want to talk about absolute studs: Marty Biron,
Actually, I was 3.
Danny Briere, Brian Campbell was on that team.
Brian Campbell was also a Florida Panther at one point. I remember that the first year I ever started watching.
There we go. And then
remember
they
that
just
guy.
ran into the Carolina Hurricanes. rookie Cam Ward in net for the Hurricanes. And Brian Miller was a rookie that year too, I believe.
Oh wow. Underneath, actually, rolling back to the Central, underneath the Wild here, St. Louis, the Blues actually had a good week. They beat Minnesota. They beat the Devils.
Stop. You know
I
I
wanna
can't
talk
stand
about
him.
that.
You know I can't stand him.
What happened? What happened in this game? What was the storyline? Give me the rundown.
Colin Parenko, good. Other guys, good. Who scored that sick goal that everyone was talking about? I can't remember.
So in this game, Jordan Kyrou scored the first goal.
Yeah,
off a
Kyrie
tip.
scored like a sick goal.
It was a tip-in. A tip-in? Was it a tip goal?
I believe, or someone else scored another goal. And,
There was
people were going
Barbashev,
crazy. Barbashev scored.
Brandon Saad, and Robert Thomas scored 2 goals.
Oh, wow. Why was he? And then, of course, Jordan Benton's in there for the Blues.
Yeah, Jack Hughes got 2 goals in like 5-6 minutes, I believe, on that day.
Oh, yeah. He was playing double shifted, and, Jack Hughes.
And then Nico Hischier scored a power play goal, but it just wasn't enough as the empty net crew came through. Once that empty net goal goes, the game's done. It happens every time. Once that empty net goal happens, that's when everyone starts leaving the arena. Every time. Every time. Like when I was at Panthers Devils with you guys, it was 3-2, and then the empty netter happened. Everybody got up and got out.
Absolutely.
Everybody got up and got out. But this Blues team,
You know that fan that was yelling behind me?
I don't recall. Actually, yes.
That
Yes.
person thought you were from Florida.
Everyone does. Everybody does.
I'm like,
bro.
I was going to turn
Dude, he
around
goes-
because that fan was so annoying. I was going to turn and be like, he's not from Florida.
Dude, he was literally like,
I'm like,
go
and
back
then
to Florida. You come.
He,
He's like, oh my
he
god.
was saying, and he was like telling the team to shoot. He was like this and that. I'm like, just stop. I cannot stand those
Yeah,
fans.
Fans that are like, shoot the puck. Oh gee, they never thought of that
Like
one.
I keep my mouth quiet during the games. And then I'm gonna be going to the Ranger game tomorrow night, and it's like my ears are gonna be ringing with all Ranger fans screaming, telling professional hockey players what the heck to do.
Dude, it's so funny.
It's gonna annoy me because they think they
think
know
they know.
everything.
They think they think
That's
they,
what bothers me.
Oh no, they think the players don't know. Like they're like, shoot the puck. Oh wow, I wonder. I really never thought about that one. It's like, you know what I mean? It's kind of like the actual sport you play.
Hey, I mean, at least I can see Jason Robertson tomorrow night.
That's true. It's like it's like baseball coaches that are like, throw strikes at their pitcher. Like, wow, I never thought to throw strikes.
The amount of Red Sox games I've watched in my life, and the amount of the way they're being put in the shift, and now the shift is going to be gone. I'm so excited.
Interesting.
So, but back to hockey.
Back to hockey, I was about to say. Blues also beat the Flames in overtime. So, solid game there. Another overtime winner for Robert Thomas. But the team I really want to highlight, the Nashville Predators. They
John Hines
moved up
What?
in the division. They won 3 straight games. They beat Carolina. They won 4 straight now, actually. They beat Carolina. They beat Washington. 2 solid quality wins for those Metropolitan fans out there. They also beat Ottawa. And for winning 4 straight games, winning 3 this past weekend, moving up in the Central Division, I'm going to give the Nashville Predators my Team of the Week honors. Still got a long way to go if they want to make a playoff push. They are, I believe right now, they are only 1 point out of a playoff spot, actually. So they just need one more win, and they'll be right in the mix right there. And the Colorado Avalanche. Now,
I might walk out of the studio if I have to hear about how, poorly the Colorado Avalanche are playing. And I hate the fact that they're playing poorly because they have guys that are injured.
yeah, well, McKinnon's back now. But,
Yeah, but did Florida beat them last night?
Yeah, they did beat them last night. They did beat them last night. They lost to Vegas last week. They lost to the Canucks at the start of this week. They beat the Oilers in overtime. And last night they lose to the Cats because they just allowed 3 goals in like 4 or 5 minutes in the first period. Barkov scored. Montour scored. Sam Bennett scored on the power play. They got one back. In the second period, they got dominated. They got outshot 4-17 by Florida's team. Matthew Tkachuk ended up getting a goal to go. And then in the third period, though, they actually came back. Sergei Bobrovsky melted down. The Panthers' defense melted down in the third period. Colorado got 2 goals in 20 seconds, right? So it's 4-3. Then, after that, they score a goal that was just ruled offside, barely offside, right? So Panthers fans are like, let's go. Offside call saves the win, and Colorado, I kid you not, they score like seconds later. So it didn't even matter because then they had the tie game anyway, 4-4, and they drew a stupid penalty. Luckily, Florida's power play comes through again. Tkachuk scores another goal, and the Panthers hold on. They win the game.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
I cannot stand him.
Tkachuk?
I was irate when he scored the first goal against the Devils when we went.
Yeah.
Irate. And I look up at the Jumbotron, and I go, why did it have to be him? Like, it could have been anyone else.
Could have been anyone else.
And it had to be him.
He's the whole team, man. Actually, it was Reinhardt that scored that first goal against when we went to the game. Reinhardt scored. Forsling scored. Tkachuk didn't even score that day, actually.
Gustav Forsling.
Yeah, Gustav Forsling. Devils killer. Gustav Forsling. But, like, yeah, Tkachuk didn't score that game. But it was the next game where I think he had... no, he didn't have a goal the next game either. That was the game where they started to fight at the very end. Oh, that was the game where Tkachuk took out Nico, right?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
How dumb is that?
And then I remember. Okay, yeah, I wasn't watching the game because like I just get dominated. But like I didn't at the end. I just took a little notice. But he is an all-star, and we'll get into those all-star teams as we roll through some more. But in the Central, as far as it looks up, Chicago actually won every game they played this week. They went from 8 wins to 10 wins, everybody.
I got something to say about
one of them
Chicago
was against Arizona, so like know.
That's a win. But last night I'm texting with all my friends, who graduated.
Yeah.
And Jess Lipson, if you know him.
Yeah.
He's now a news reporter in Rockford, Illinois. And,
wow.
He was talking about the Blackhawks last night, and I had to give Jess a little rundown of how great the Blackhawks were in the 2010s.
Yeah, the team of the 2010s.
Emphasize the word were, because everybody disliked the Blackhawks.
Yeah, of course.
Everyone, and I'll tell you this. I was at Fenway Park the day after the Blackhawks won the Cup in Boston.
Uh-huh.
That place was ghost town. Ghost town after the Bruins lost. And also, I'll say this too. After 2015, that ship sailed way down. They got rid of Teuvo Teravainen. They got rid of Artemi Panarin.
Teravainen's underrated, man. And of course, the bread man is now in New York.
And then they let Teravainen go to Carolina. They let Panarin go to Columbus, and that core absolutely went that. And then the whole allegations came out.
Oh yeah, that whole thing happened. Yeah.
So it was pretty sad, for Chicago, and I really think that Patrick Kane's going to get moved at the deadline.
We'll see.
Not sooner.
I don't know, because like they've been talking about this for a long time, but like where else would he go?
Boston.
It's hard to just see him in another
Rangers.
Jersey, honestly. But yeah, it's possible.
Or if his hometown starts rising up in that division, send him back to Buffalo.
Send him back to Buffalo.
He would look good in those goat head jerseys.
Hey,
I might have to buy one.
They could use a guy like him right now. That may complete what they need to make a playoff push. But moving on now from the Central, St. Louis on their way up, Nashville on their way up, Arizona's still struggling, Minnesota with a struggle.
Thank you for Connor Bedard.
Dallas and Winnipeg still doing their thing. Jason Robertson's a stud, Kyle Connor's a stud. But we're going to move on here to the Metropolitan Division because there's a lot going on around here. Let's address the Carolina Hurricanes real quick. Losers of 4 straight games, 2 points, only separating them and the Devils. They lost to the Rangers on Tuesday. They lost to the Predators on Thursday. They lost to Johnny Hockey's Blue Jackets in a shootout. And the Devils last night.
Losers of the week.
Talk to me about last night's game.
I kind of talked about it, but, Nem, I think you and me both could attest to this, that, I think the Devils kind of woke up a bit, in that second period. And, I there's a little quote from little Birdie that said, he just said to Jack, let's go in another heater. And the Devils have won 2 straight. And they're on a Western California road trip right now. And, the Devils are 15-2-1 on the road.
That's a fantastic.
That's a great road record. And if the Devils win out, like these next 4 games, I think the show's back on the road, and the Devils might be a wagon again. I don't know about you, Nem.
I think what the Devils need to do is just cancel all the rest of their home games.
I'm in support of this. I'm in support.
But how? Wait, but like if they cancel them, like how am I supposed to, interact with Devils fans and go cheer for my team
Over Instagram, over the internet.
That's a sad take right
Traveling to every Devils game. Just
2 hours later.
I'm
Catch a quick flight to California? I'd do it.
I wish. I really wish I could take a quick flight to California. Maybe go visit my cousin and Huntington Beach.
Okay. Now, so for the Carolina Hurricanes, they have lost 4 straight games. 3 in a row. I said 3 in a row. 4 in a row. 3 this past week. 25-16, only 2 points in the lead, almost blowing the lead for the division. So they're winning the L of the week. Worst team this week. The Devils now right under them, 3-1, a little bounce back week. Beat the Rangers in overtime. What do you have to say about that? What do you tell Rangers fans out there?
What happened? No,
Damon
honestly, I thought the Devils were gonna lose, but Jesper Bratt, scores, and then Jack Hughes, MVP caliber season scores, and then Damon Severson with the Gretzky-esque celebration after scoring the game winner.
If that doesn't happen, if the Rangers win that game, the Rangers actually be tied with the Devils in the standings.
Yeah,
right now.
and Jack Hughes didn't know that. You should know that, bud. Come on.
You should know that, bud. Yeah, but now it leaves the Rangers underneath, 2 points under the Devils. That's their only loss this entire in 2023. That's the only Rangers
The
loss.
Devils could have at least more than 60 points if they won most of the games in December.
Yeah, that's absolutely a fact. But sadly, we're here right now. And the Rangers, they have won every game besides that one. They beat the Canadiens. They beat the Wild in a shootout last night. And underneath them, we have...
They were down 2-0 in the first period.
Against the
Wild.
The Wild, yeah. They were down 2-0. Then Keandre Miller scores. Adam Fox scores. What great goal-scoring defenseman they have there. Zuccarello gets a goal on his former team in the third. But then, how do you say his name? Philip... Hedl. Yeah. Scores a wrister. And then overtime, nothing happens. In the shootout, Kakko scores, Zuccarello scores, but Panarin gets the shootout winner. And just for that, that means the Wild pick up a half as valuable point of a win. Washington still staying in fourth in the Metropolitan, having a solid week. Their only loss came against Nashville, but they beat the Blue Jackets twice. So, it's not really great, but they won the games they needed to. Pittsburgh moving back up into fifth in the Metro after beating Arizona and Vancouver, but also
cool.
losing.
Second wildcard spot. Good for you, AJ.
But also losing to the Golden Knights. And the Islanders having a terrible week. They lost every game they played, lost to the Oilers, the Flames, and the Stars in a shootout. They're now way down.
I can't believe how bad the Islanders are with the amount of talent that they have.
Yeah, the goaltending talent's good there, but they just they haven't been having the success. They've allowed 4 goals in 3 of their last 5 games. Like, the defense, you'd think 2 years ago they were in the Eastern Conference Finals. Last year they had a bad year. This year they're having not a terrible year, but it's not the best year either, The top 6 teams in this Metropolitan are all very solid teams. I'd have to say so myself. Whereas some other divisions, it's like they only got 4 quality teams. And the Flyers actually won a couple games this week, but they're not doing nothing. They beat the Sabres, and they also beat the Coyotes, so it does not matter. And Johnny Hockey's Blue Jackets won 1 game, but lost 3. They beat the Canes in a shootout, so that's cool, but they lost to the Capitals twice. And they lost to the Lightning 3-6 last night, so it's bad for them. But some players I just want to highlight. From this division, I feel like, not even this division necessarily, but I want to highlight some players from the Central earlier. The Jets, the Winnipeg Jets. Kyle Connor's playing great. Pierre-Luc Dubois is playing great hockey as well. Dubois. I don't know how to say the name. Dubois. I mean, he had 7 points in 3 games. 5 assists in 3 games, along with 2 goals. You gotta love it. It's amazing play. Brandon Saad's playing great for the Blues. But you got to give Jack Hughes his credit where it's due. He had a 3-game stretch where he scored 5 goals and 2 assists.
Yeah, but he got second star of the week because Pasternak. Hey, look, I'm wearing my Devils jacket, but y'all know if the Devils aren't doing good, I got to root for the Bruins.
You got to root for the Bruins if the Devils aren't doing good.
I love the Bruins.
Oh,
love the Bruins.
So Bruins Devils Eastern Conference Finals, what have you?
Devils.
Yeah, of course.
Devils. All the way Devils.
Of course. It has to happen. But those are some key players this past week. And the Central had a lot of moving parts. Pittsburgh moved up. Islanders moved down. But the Canes, they're in trouble there. They're in trouble at the top. So we're going to roll over now to the final division here. The Atlantic Division. The Boston Bruins still playing great. Brad Marchand and David Pasternak. They've won 4 straight games. And they beat the Ducks, Kings, AJ's Penguins, and the Sharks. Now, 32 wins. By far the best team in this league. But as we all know, the President's Trophy winners, they don't win the cup. They don't win the cup, but is that going to change this year? Because last week, I had Daniel and Justin saying, this might be the year it changes. Any thoughts on that one?
I think the Bruins, are the team to beat in the Eastern Conference.
100%. That was Carolina for a bit until they screwed it up. Like, Boston's won 4 in a row. And they're just on a roll. Pasta's on a roll. Brad Marchand played great. He had 7 points in 4 games. Like, they're playing great hockey as a team, offensively, defensively. And right under them in that division, Toronto and Tampa. Toronto is, I believe, second. Yeah, Toronto's second.
Hey,
with 57 points.
I'll tell you what, Mitch Marner's playing some good hockey.
Absolutely. And Tampa right underneath them. They're still winning games. Tampa had not the best week, though. They beat the Blue Jackets, but they did lose to the Wild and the Jets pretty bad. Lost to the Wild 5-1, actually. So, there's room for improvement. The Buffalo Sabres, though. they did not have the best week either, but they still have incredible play. They beat the Wild in overtime. They got destroyed by the Flyers, and they lose to the Kraken, of course, last night. But Tage Thompson and Rasmus Dahlin, incredible play. Tage Thompson has scored 5 points in 2 games, and in that same 2-game stretch, Dahlin scored 6 points.
Can we do a trade for Tage for Tice? Thank you.
Thompson brother trade?
Yes.
Daniel was saying I wish Tage could teach his little brother the skills. I mean, listen, Tage could have been traded last year or 2 years ago for a 5th-round pick, and the teams didn't pull the trigger. The Sabres offered him up for a 5th or a 4th, I believe, and no trigger was pulled. And that's where we ended up, you know? Underneath, this division is so weird. Like, there's Boston at the top, right? And then Toronto and Tampa are solid. Very good teams. Then there's just a bunch of, like, good to mid-tier teams. There's, like, 4 of them. There's only one bad. And they're not even the worst. Montreal is not the worst team. Like, there's no terrible team in this division. Not like how there's Chicago, Arizona, San Jose, Anaheim, Columbus, and the Flyers. Actually, Montreal is just starting to get into that realm of that terrible teams. So, like, Florida, all they did was win 2 games, and they've moved up 2 spots in the division. Now they're 5th. They went from 7th to 5th because I'll give them their credit. They beat Detroit, they beat the Red Wings, and they owned the Red Wings. Like, Forsling scored, Ekblad scored 2 power play goals, and they played good. Bobrovsky actually had a good game for once. Then they got destroyed by Dallas. Destroyed. Jason Robertson scored. Lundqvist scored. Lindell scored. And Robertson scored twice. Heiskanen scored an empty net to ice it. Like, Spencer Knight was just bad. And it was awful. It was awful loss. The defense in the second and third period could have been better. Second period especially. The offense was terrible in the third. And then last night they beat the Avs. Already went into that. But I know they don't have it. Detroit, rough week. After they had showed some promise earlier in the year, they seem to have fallen off. Ottawa lost all their games, and Montreal is just struggling.
You are listening to the top area here on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair.
Oh, he waited for it. He hit it on cue, like on the dot 2 p.m. here.
You're welcome.
Rolling through all the divisions, just like a breeze like that, right on the top of the hour. So we're going to take a quick break here on 90.3 WMSC Montclair. But when we WMSC Upper Montclair. But when we come back, we'll be discussing the All-Star teams and many more throughout the world of hockey. So stay tuned, everybody. We are back here on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair for Breaking the Ice, hour number 2. And a little more, of course. First thing I just want to shout out, the Ducks center, Justin Kirkland, he actually was involved in a car crash around 2 to 3 days ago, but he was released from the hospital just, I believe, 2 days ago or yesterday. So, wishing a speedy recovery for Kirkland. Hopefully everything's all right there. But on hour 2 here, we're going to get into the good stuff. The All-Star rosters were released in the National Hockey League. Now, for those who don't know, in the NHL All-Star game, every team must have one player, which I think is bogus because then a bunch of players end up missing the All-Star game that could deserve to be in there. Now, of course, there's still last man voting that's going to take place, so we're going to see who gets in on those last man in spots. But as of right now, the NHL rosters, I believe Jack Hughes made it for the Devils, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Every team has one representative.
He made the All-Star game.
Lovely, lovely, lovely.
Don't like. I'm excited because there should be other players from the Devils that are going to be selected.
Yeah, the reserves have not been selected yet, but at least the one player from each team has been selected. So first of all, the coaches, Jim Montgomery is in. Pete DeBoer is in.
Wow, I love it.
Bruce Cassidy of Vegas.
Okay.
And Rod Brindamore is also in.
Why?
I believe. Don't you just make? If your team is first,
you
in
know
the division,
what?
you just make it, right?
Yeah, but like, no, they had that hot streak going. That's why.
Yeah, you know it. You know it. No Lindy Ruff. No Lindy Ruff because you know, they're
Life is
second.
rough out here.
Life is indeed rough out here. And Montgomery has to make it because, look, his Bruins
'cause
team's
they're-
going crazy.
Best team in hockey.
Now, let's roll into which players have made it into the All-Star game, one from each team. So we'll start with the Pacific, the Vegas representative in the All-Star game, goaltender Logan Thompson. I love it.
Cool.
I'm all here for it. Of course, they'll have more players selected. The Kings representative is Kevin Fiala. Those who know was a Minnesota Wild player last year.
Former Nashville Predator.
Seattle's representative,
Matty Beniers.
Matty Beniers.
Matty Beniers.
He's in. Calgary's representative, Nazem Kadri, who made it into last year's All-Star game as a last man in for the Central Division Colorado Avalanche. So two All-Stars now, back-to-back for Kadri.
That's cool.
For Edmonton, McDavid, of course. Who else?
I mean, who else but, the best player in the league.
Now, I'm sure Draisaitl will make it in as a reserve. He's got to. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I mean, you can't have Connor McDavid without Leon.
Leon Draisaitl. You can't have an All-Star game without two of the best players in this league. Vancouver's,
Elias.
it was Elias Pettersson. Elias Pettersson made it in for Vancouver. San Jose, the best defenseman in the league thus far this season, Erik Karlsson.
What a resurgence, man.
Yeah.
What a resurgence from the former Ottawa Senator. And he's having a Norris Trophy year.
He's by far he's going to win it if he's going to win it at this rate.
Just having a better season than Cale Makar.
That's for sure. And last but not least, Anaheim's representative, Troy Terry.
You see that video with Troy Aikman?
I did not.
It's a funny video. But I'm surprised because I think Trevor Zegras is going to get in as a reserve.
Possibly, very possible. I mean, this Anaheim team only has 12 wins, so hopefully his case is good enough. And sometimes winning goes into effect here. Sometimes it does have an effect on your all-star selections, but every team needed a player, and those are the first 8 in from the Pacific Division. More reserves will be listed later. We'll update you when that happens. From the Central now, the All-Star team, we have the Dallas Stars representative. It's none other than Jason Robertson himself. And you know who else was going to get it? Who else was going to get it other than Jason Robertson?
Yeah, nice stretch.
He had a nice stretch. He is that guy. He is that guy out of this team. There's no other way to put it. Now, next, out of Winnipeg, Josh Morrissey made it in. Interesting decision for me. I was thinking Kyle Connor could have gotten in there. But, he was their guy last year. But Morrissey also having a solid season for this Winnipeg Jets team. I'm not sure. It'd be interesting to see if any player could make it in, if he would go to the All-Star game. But since every team has to have one player, that's where we are. Minnesota, none other than Kirill Kaprizov.
Kirill the Thrill.
Capri Sun is in the All-Star game for Minnesota, and there's not another player on that team more deserving. St. Louis, Jordan Bennington. I'm just kidding.
Oh, my goodness.
It's Vladimir Tarasenko again. He's been there for years.
It feels like forever.
I can remember Tarasenko in St. Louis, and he's still making the All-Star game for them. Nashville, UC Saros gets in, the goaltender. Solid. Had 64 saves in their win against Carolina. I believe, if I check right, that's one of the greatest wins I think I've ever seen from that Nashville Predators team, which is why I also had to give them Team of the Week. They were outshot 67-25 when they win. You believe that?
It's crazy.
He faced 28 third period shots, and he only didn't allow a single goal in the third of 28 shots in one period.
That's insane.
Incredible. So he deserves that one. Just for that one game, he deserves to be in the All-Star game. Now, Colorado's player in the All-Star game, Cale Makar.
The
best defenseman of last season.
Kale Salad.
Arizona, Clayton Keller gets in. Clayton Keller gets in the All-Star game. And for Chicago, it's Seth Jones. Campbell's like, why? Campbell's like,
I hate the fact that they gave him that contract.
listen, man, he was supposed to be amazing, and they weren't supposed to be this bad. They weren't supposed to be this bad last year, and now it's just carrying over. All right.
He needs some milk.
I believe that was in order, because Campbell's like, wow, Seth Jones, how do you make it in? How do you make it in? The Chicago team has definitely seen better days, so that's definitely how he made it in. But we're going to switch gears. The Metropolitan Division's 8 representatives here from Carolina, Andrei Svechnikov.
Mr. Svechnikov.
Svechnikov.
That'll never get old.
He's in the game. He's in the All-Star game for this Canes team. And for the Devils, it's none other than Jack Hughes. The offense. The offense himself.
The Devils right now. Jack Hughes.
New York Rangers. Igor Shesterkin is in.
4 past Igor.
4 past Igor, except he's in the All-Star game. And yet again, back-to-back selections for him. Congratulations. Washington, it's none other than the Great 8. It's Alex Ovechkin. He's in the All-Star game.
Legend. Goat.
He's
my
in the
goat.
All-Star game
My goat.
yet again.
My goat.
The guy deserves it.
Way
But-
better than Sidney Crosby.
And that was my next person who's in the All-Star game for Pittsburgh, Sidney
no.
Crosby. Nem's booing right now for those who couldn't hear over the crowd clap.
Nem's the
Not a fan.
anti Penguins enthusiast in the group.
I can't wait to have you guys on with AJ at the same time. I need this. I need that
Why
content.
isn't he here today?
Let me
He said
actually.
he had exams.
Oh, yeah, he's got
That's what
2
he
exams today, I believe.
Lame.
said. I think he was afraid of the trash talk Nem was going to give him.
I want that so bad. We need this. I think all 3 of us are in a class next semester, so we're gonna hear it every day, every Wednesday,
Oh yeah.
I believe. And I'm gonna try and get this show on a Wednesday next semester as well. So it's just gonna all roll into one. It's gonna have the beef before class, and it's gonna happen during.
I don't
the show.
have class on Wednesdays.
I have 2, but I'm gonna try to fit it in. We're gonna figure out the time slot for next semester. But Crosby and Ovechkin have to share the ice for the All-Star game. That's gonna be lovely. Because of the
Does Evgeny Malkin get in as a reserve?
Hopefully we'll have to see with that one. The Islanders, Brock Nelson gets in.
That's surprising. Wow. I mean, is Matt Barzal having a good year this year?
Well, let's just take a look
I
at.
think he's injured right now, isn't he?
He was injured, I believe.
I don't know if he still is.
So let's check the Isles, right? Barzal, his games this season, he has been playing recently. He had a 0-point game last night. You know what I mean? Solid. But he had a goal in like 5 straight games, actually. He had a stretch of scoring 5 straight games with a goal. 2 goals against Pittsburgh. But he was hurt, I believe, earlier in the year. And then he, came back to life. But if you look at this this team, I believe the league leader in points is still Barzal. Brock Nelson does have 39 points, but Barzal has 41. So it probably came down to just, I don't know what it came down to at that point. Nelson has 15 goals to Barzal's 11, but, 30 assists for Barzal. So, it's all right. So it's just kind of a toss-up, get someone in. Maybe they'll make it into the reserve. Barzal can make it in still. Philadelphia. Their option was none other than Kevin Hayes, one of their only good players. And guess who made it in for Columbus?
Johnny Hockey.
Yes, sir. Devils fans' favorite Blue Jacket, Jonathan Gaudreau.
I don't care anymore.
I don't care anymore.
I don't care. He chose the Blue Jackets. He's an all-star. Congrats to him. He just wishes he just came to North Jersey and, get a house in Hoboken. I don't know. Look, he's doing well for the Blue Jackets. I'll give him that. And he's an all-star. Just thought he was going to make the right decision.
Just thought he was going to make the right decision. Listen, if they win a chip before the Devils do, then he did make the right decision.
Stop. Then
That's
I'm
not
going to
gonna
say
happen.
that the Panthers are going to lose in the first round.
They're not
Make
gonna
me mad.
make it to the first round. You can't make me mad with that one. They can't. They won't even make it to
Don't
the
make
first
me
round.
mad, then.
Don't make me mad. Listen,
Only AJ could do that.
only AJ's allowed. Only AJ's allowed to make him mad. That's lovely. But those are the not central. I completely got mixed up. The Metropolitan Division nominees and selections for the All-Star Game. So now I'm moving over to the Atlantic. Boston's selection, no Pasta, no Brad Marchand. Lucas Allmark is their selection.
Linus
Allmark. I keep saying Lucas for some reason. Linus Allmark is in the All-Star Game.
Dude.
Pasta's going to make it into the reserve, I guess.
They could have like 5 All-Stars.
But they're probably going to only have like 2.
Yeah.
Because here's how it's constructed. There are 11 spots per division.
Yeah.
7 forwards, 2 defensemen.
It's that 3-on-3 thing
Yeah.
that they have now.
7
which I think
forwards.
is so dumb.
Fair. 7 forwards, 2 defensemen, 2 goaltenders. So Linus Allmark is one of the goaltenders, and the other selections were forward. So it looks like the reserves are going to be Pasta has to be one of them. I mean, like, what else can it be? But Allmark is in as Boston's number 1 selection. Toronto, Mitch Marner in the All-Star Game. No Austin Matthews. Not yet, at least. So I guess one of them has to miss the All-Star Game between... I'm confused on that one. I'm honestly at a loss.
I'll say this too. He's had a tremendous jump since he left Buffalo.
Marner?
No, I thought we were still talking about Allmark.
Oh.
I didn't hear you. I apologize.
He didn't hear
Sorry.
me.
Sorry.
He did not hear me. But it looks like we're gonna have to see what the reserves look like. But yeah,
Who made it for Toronto?
Mitch Marner, not Austin Matthews, not Nylander. Mitch Marner is in the All-Star Game for Toronto. Tampa Bay, Nikita Kucherov is back. The 2019 MVP is in the All-Star Game yet again. Not Hedman, not Vasilevsky. So there's going to be a lot of key people missing from the All-Star Game this year. But I'm assuming Vasilevsky has to make it in as the second goaltender in this division. Like, I don't know what else could be. Well, who else could make it? Like, he is that guy. He's an incredible player. Tage Thompson gets in for Buffalo.
Wow.
I mean,
Not surprising, but like I thought it was gonna maybe either him or Rasmus.
Dahlin made it last year, actually, but he should not have made it last year. That's just how it is. Like, on this Buffalo team, the team leader in points by a mile, it's Tage Thompson. He has 11 more points than Dahlin. 31 goals, 26 assists. That's gonna get you in the All-Star Game. You know what I'm saying? That's gonna get you in the All-Star Game. And moving on more. Florida Panthers representative, none other than Matthew Tkachuk. Both Tkachuk brothers are actually in the All-Star Game. Brady Tkachuk is the Senators. Brady Tkachuk is the Senators representative, and Matthew Tkachuk is the Panthers representative. Now, there's no one else from Florida that should be in this All-Star Game. He's the
Besides
only
him.
one. He's legitimately the only one. I've been watching them this season. He's got 51 points. The next closest guy has 34. Like, it's Matthew Tkachuk by a mile. Like, 51 points. 34 for Montour, 33 for Verhaeghe. Barkov has had a bad year this far. Tkachuk has 22 goals and 29 assists. Like, he is by far the Panthers team. And as far as Ottawa goes, their team leader in points appears to be Brady Tkachuk as well. But it was a close one there. Stutzel could have made it in. Tkachuk, it was really close. 40 points compared to, like 39. So it was really a toss-up there between those two. But Matthew Tkachuk is in, and he deserves it. Detroit's representative, Dylan Larkin. Dylan Larkin makes it in for Detroit.
Not Lucas Draymond.
Not Lucas Raymond. Maybe as a reserve. We'll have to see. It's going to be interesting.
What about Mo Reed Sider?
Mo Sider?
Yeah.
Yeah, no cider either. No cider. That's a fact. There's no cider. It's all Dylan Larkin, and Montreal, Nick Suzuki is back in for a second straight year.
Why couldn't it be Cole Caulfield?
Why couldn't it be Cole Caulfield, he asks. Well, let's just check out Montreal's stats on the season. It's definitely not going to be a goaltender because Sam Montembeault is bad, and so is Jake Allen. So it's not going to be one of those guys. That is a fact. As far as their skaters go, their leader in points is Nick Suzuki. Caulfield does have 23 goals, though, so you have a case. You do have a point there. Could have been Caulfield, could have been Suzuki, but they decided to roll with Suzuki because he has 19 assists and 15 goals. So, those are the All-Star games. Those are the All-Star teams, rather. And the coaches. So, I believe, to my knowledge, there will be 4 reserves selected or 3. There's 2 goaltenders, 2 defensemen, 7 skaters. So, that's going to leave you with 11 players per division, and I believe there's also a last man in for each team. So I believe it's going to be 12 players per division. There should be 12 players per division. Because last year, how it worked was, I believe there was 7 skaters, 2 goaltenders, 2 defensemen. 2 defensemen, there's only 8 defensemen in the league that make it to the All-Star game. Only 8. So it's very, very slim. Last year, yes, 7 forward, 2 defensemen, 2 goaltenders, every team. But every division also got 1 extra player. There's 1 guy that gets voted in. It's called the last man in. So there's going to end up being 12 players per team. So after the reserves get announced, then they're going to announce the last man in. And, like last year, for the Devils, I'm assuming it was legitimately just Jack Hughes that made it because there's no one else that was going to make it in the All-Star game for them. So,
This year it's going to be Jesper Bratt. Make that man an All-Star.
Yes, Bratt.
do you believe? Do you believe?
Jesper Bratt is the best player in the NHL.
I'm voting for him 10 times a day.
10
just to make
times
it
a
happen.
day.
Just to make it happen.
Get Nico as a reserve, and then, absolutely, spam the All-Star voting thing for last man in, and it's going to be number 63, Jesper Bratt.
Nem, who's your favorite Devil?
Jesper Bratt.
Actually, okay.
Yes.
He
is my favorite Devil.
You want to know who my favorite Devil is? And Nem, Justin, and Daniel. Daniel doesn't hate me for this because me and him agree on it. My favorite Devil is Fabian Zetterlund.
Wow. What a selection. It's always the under, I
It's-
like it. I like
I
it.
love appreciating the underappreciated players.
I love that too. I love, appreciating
He
the
brings a lot
underappreciated.
of, he brings a lot of energy. And, TJ Oshie didn't take too liking to his celebration when the Devils absolutely waxed the Capitals in New Jersey. So,
I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. So now, with these All-Star teams coming out, do y'all believe, we had this discussion last week, they should, I think it shouldn't be a player per team. I think it should just be the best players get in.
yeah, that's true. But, I think if you remember the MLB All-Star game, the Mets hosted the All-Star game, and not one Met made the All-Star game.
And Major League Baseball is the same. Yeah, one team has to have.
Well, that was before that
Yeah.
happened. But, I think, every player from each team should, get an All-Star because, players want to see fans want to see their favorite players.
Dude, if no
in the
Panther
All-Star.
deserved it, I don't want to see them in the All-Star game. I'm going to be real. In the Pro Bowl, too, Xavier Howard's in the Pro Bowl for the Dolphins. He does not deserve it this year. He's had a bad season, yet he's still in there. I hate it. I hate seeing those guys that should not be there. It really is such a pet peeve of mine. For Kachuk to make it, cool. He's the only one because he's actually been playing great hockey. I don't want to see any other Panther. And I sometimes, I watched Keith Yandel make it for the Panthers in 2019, right? I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that.
I feel like it should be best players from each division instead of each team. Because that way it makes more sense. Because then the teams are a little more
No, yeah, if you had the
even.
best players from each division,
best
yeah,
players from each conference, and can we just go East versus West again?
that would
and
be
just-
really cool.
But the marketing value now, it's just
I mean, listen, I'm fine with the divisional teams. It allows. I think it's cool. There's not that many spots where they still get some of the guys right, but the defenseman is worse because there's only 2 defensemen per division that make it in. So let's say a defenseman that really deserves to make it might not get in because every team needs a player. Like last year, I remember it was legitimately last year. Buffalo was bad, right? Dahlin didn't have a good year. He made it in to the All-Star game because no other Sabre was going to make it. So Aaron Ekblad, who was having a tear of a season, doesn't get into the All-Star game because of this. Because, only Buffalo needed a player. So, like, some guys that really deserve it miss just because of that. Like, someone's going to have to miss between Pasta, Marchand, Victor Hedman, and Austin Matthews because of this. And instead we got Nick Suzuki on the ice. It does not fit. It just doesn't fit.
Yeah, like I don't think any Flyer should be out in the All-Star game. In my opinion, I don't think that makes any sense.
Kevin Hayes is out there.
And he shouldn't be.
Like, yeah. Like, let's just look at this real quick. Let's check out the Flyers. Let's check out the Flyers real quick. So, we got, going and look, let's going to scroll through here. We're just going to scroll through their statistics. View their player stats. Kevin Hayes has 36 points on this season. He should not be in the All-Star game at all. He has 10 goals. If anything, Travis Konechny could be in the All-Star game for them. If anything, because Konechny has 21 goals and 22 assists for 43 points on the year. So if anything, put Konechny in. Why is it Kevin Hayes? Legitimately, why? Like, some of the guys, let's just look at the total points leaders in this league. First of all, Leon Draisaitl's second in the league in points, and he's not listed yet because he's going to make it in as a reserve because they have to put McDavid in. So there's one, and David Pastrnak, 4th in the league in points, but he's not listed because Linus Ullmark is in. Linus Ullmark. So, like, that's 2 of the top 4 players in the league. 2 of the top 4 point getters in the entire National Hockey League are not in the All-Star game yet. They'll make it, but they're not in there yet. Like, that's crazy to me. That's crazy. Kyle Connor for the Jets. I'm surprised he didn't make it in. I'm surprised that Kyle Connor was not the Jets selection. Instead, the Jets selection, if I'm correct, is Josh Morrissey. Now, Morrissey, let's see, is a defenseman. So that might have something to do with it because, they need to find some defensemen to make the All-Star game as well. They got to put some in there. But, like, Connor has 50 points. Mikko Rantanen has 50 points. Will these guys make the All-Star game? I don't know. Kaprizov, 49. Marner, 49. They're both in. Crosby's in. Dubois is in. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins has 48. Will he make it in? Pettersson's in. Ovechkin's in. Austin Matthews. Will he make it in? There's a lot of guys. Yeah, Morrissey made it in because, like, he has 46 points as a defenseman. And if you just look at, those defensemen out west, it's Erik Karlsson and then Morrissey. So Morrissey getting in I actually love. I love that. He's supposed to be in here. He is probably one of the best defensemen in that division. So I honestly am not mad at it at all, as long as Connor's able to get it as a reserve. Hopefully he's able to squeak himself in there. But I don't know. Like, he's the best defenseman in that division. So, he deserves it. Saros is a goaltender. Seth Jones makes it in for the Blackhawks as a defenseman. But keep in mind, like, Seth Jones does not have the points that some of the other guys have on this team. But it's all good. Nem, we're the only ones in here because Campbell Donovan, he's taking a little break of his own for a second. We got 30 minutes left here on Breaking the Ice. A ton of time. So, I want to just get into, you're a Devils fan. How did that all start? Obviously, we all from New Jersey, so it's not as, crazy story probably doesn't happen. But, like, when did you start watching the sport? How'd you get into it? What's your favorite memory?
Well, I actually didn't start watching hockey until last year, around November, December.
Lovely.
It was just kind of like a spur of the moment decision. Me and my friends decided, hey, it'd be fun to go to a professional hockey game. So I got 3 of my friends, and we went, and I had a really great time. We lost to the San Jose Sharks.
Lovely.
Yeah. But you know what? I still had a great time. And after that, I just kept watching games, and I started getting more into it. I started following it more, and now I'm a Devils fan.
I was about to be like, all right, so like on a scale of 1 to 10, what is your puck bunny levels?
I mean, okay.
Okay.
I would like to make it clear, I do watch hockey. I do know like, I don't just watch
It's not strictly for the players.
Yes. Does it make
Have
it better? Yes.
Does it have
does.
a role in it? Of course.
So I would say maybe like a healthy 5, maybe, or 6.
How about your friends?
My friends, I feel like all my friends that like hockey are pretty into hockey.
Lovely. We love to see it. Because Daniel, we were at the Devils-Panthers game, and there's a group of them by the glass with the signs.
Oh, gosh.
Like, what I don't remember what it said. But Daniel made this claim last week after we left the studio. He's like, I know 80% of Devils fangirls. He's like, I know 80% of girls that are Devils fans. There's a chance if you're a Devils fan and you're a girl that he knows who you are. He says he knows 80%.
That's
I'm like,
that's a pretty
wow.
fair statement. I know he actually does personally know one of my friends.
There's perfect. Like it's a crazy statistic to know 80% of a population of people, but like I probably have met a Panthers fan in my life. I have met 2. But living in New Jersey, they don't really exist that much, but I met one. I think I met 2. Maz's cousin is one, I'm pretty sure. I think.
You're not even sure.
I know it was either he went to a game and I went to the same game. It was either one of his friends or one of his cousins. I can't remember, or a brother-in-law or something, some relative or some friend. Guy's a Panthers fan, and I saw one guy here at this building. He had a jersey. I'm like, no way. I'm like, not a chance. You're a Panthers fan, and it's like crazy. I've never been there. I've never been to the FLA Live Arena, but I want to go to a Panthers home game. I've been to the Prudential Center. Let me see if I can count. 1, 2, 3. Okay, last year I went to 2 Devils Panthers games there. I went to a Sabres Devils game, which, mind you, Andrew Hammond was playing, and they scored a goal off of a dump-in, which is one of my favorite memories ever. Because Daniel was like, "Are you serious?"
Yeah, no, I do remember that game, actually. I think it's insane how you can blow up, what was it, like a 6-1, 6-2 lead?
No, it was a different Devils Sabres game. It was like 5-3 or something. It was like 5-3. But I remember, but yeah, blowing. Speaking of 6-2 leads, I was at the Panthers-Devils game last year where they blew the 6-2 lead.
That's what I was thinking of. That's what I thought we were talking about.
I was there with Daniel, and I loved every second of it.
Oh,
I wanted
God.
I hated it. Okay, so the first Devils-Panthers...
You loved it or you hated it?
At the start, I hated it. Of course, it was 6-2. First of all, let me just preface. The first Devils-Panthers game last year was in November. November 9th, last year. They lost 7-3, right? They lost 7-3. Let's see if I can oh, the door is open. Lovely. They lost 7-3 last year, and they literally put up a touchdown on the Panthers. And this time around, now, it's legitimately 6-2. I'm thinking it's gonna be 7-3 again. It's in the third period with 15 minutes left. The Panthers are down 2-6. The Rock is extremely loud, and I'm like, oh man, this is terrible. And then they scored 5 goals in 15 minutes, and then they won the game in overtime. And I was like, yes, I talked so much smack after that. That was incredible game to go to. And
Igor's first hat trick.
Yeah. That was a great game.
Honestly, as much as I hate to admit it, like, it was a well-deserved.
Oh, man.
It was, like, you can't. There's absolutely no way you can come back from a 6-2
deficit.
Yeah,
in
and then
15 minutes.
and then not everyone's face.
No, so
Well,
I was I was at the game. I was
Connor.
not. I was sitting. What's up?
well, we could talk. We could tell them about our experience with the Devils and the Sabres.
I was telling her about that before you walked in, but we'll get to that one. But the Devils Panthers game that I went to this time, legitimately, like, I'm sitting there with one of my friends. Daniel is in one of the rows above me, and Emily Shinarkowski is in, like, at the top. And they're winning 6-2. So I remember I texted her on Instagram because I was at the game. And I started joking. Like, they're going to score 5 goals. I have the receipts. But I started joking that they're going to score 5 goals. And they actually scored 1. At that point, I was still joking. When they scored 2 goals, I was like, okay, let's start talking for real. And then Barkov scored another goal. And then I started talking for real. And then once goal number 6 happened with the empty net, first of all, the Devils had a chance to hit an empty netter and they missed. And I held my breath all the way down the puck down to the ice. They missed. Barkov scores, so they tie the game. It goes to overtime. In overtime, they hit the post. Spencer Knight was put in goal. They took out Bobrovsky, put Spencer Knight in, and that's legit the reason they won. Andrew Brunette, by the way. Do you like him, Campbell?
Yes.
You like Bruno?
Yeah.
I gotta give him credit. Last year he was a Jack Adams candidate, but he did take probably the most talented roster in the league to the President's Trophy Cup. And, like, he was a good coach, but he signed a 3-year deal as an assistant coach of the Devils.
Yeah. Yeah. Remember what happened last year?
Yeah.
Big brother?
Oh, man. After that, I wasn't sure if it was Bruno that was a good interim coach or just the team.
Nah, you just ran into the Tampa Bay Lightning.
No,
That's
I mean,
buddy.
like, Bruno.
You just ran into Big Brother.
Not even that. Like, Bruno's success in Florida, was it due to him being a solid coach, or more so because he was a special teams coach in Florida, or is it due to him just having the most talented offense in years the league saw?
He had a talented offense.
Yeah.
You know?
So that's why he's not a head coach right now. But, like, man,
he should be a head coach. But he's
assistant for
running
the
the
Devils. Is he the power play coach or like just
I
like
think
what does he do? Because he was the power play coach in Florida.
Well, the Devils' power play is not good.
Oh
Yeah, I was gonna say if he's the power play coach, he's not doing a great
Listen,
job.
the Florida Panthers power play coach was not good either last year towards this stretch, so it got rough. It got bad. Like, but the Devils Sabres game you were talking about that we went to last year, it was for it wasn't for class, but it was just opportunity to go meet with some of the Devils social media team workers before the game.
Yeah, got to meet the head Devils, PR guy, essentially, and their director
You mean
of
Dougie
content.
Hamilton?
What's up?
She's like, you mean Dougie Hamilton?
No, I didn't. One of my buddies is when we went. One of my buddies is the assistant equipment manager. So, yeah, that's.
Oh,
why
is that the guy you were talking to?
Yeah, I was talking to him.
Oh, you knew him.
Yeah, I know him. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I was like, Daniel and I were like, Campbell's about to flag down this equipment manager. And it turns out he knew the guy.
Yeah, well,
He knew
and
the guy.
also, if Devils fans remember this
Did
name.
B-Real go off?
Yeah.
I don't have B-Real,
If
sadly.
Devils fans remember this name, I got to meet Nate. Nate's a great guy. I always say hi to him. He gave me some pucks at times, and last year, I was wearing my PK Subban jersey. It's a Canadiens jersey, and he took it. I was wearing it to the game, and PK signed it for me. But how I met Nate, he was living in my town, and actually he brought Keith Kincaid along with him to a festival. That I was go to every summer, and I got to meet Keith Kincaid, and Keith came to my senior night for football. Got a picture with him. Talked to him for a bit. Then I was heartbroken when he got traded to Columbus after my senior year of high school. I've been following him around, but anytime I go down to the Devils, every time I go to the Devils game, I always gotta go by the bench. I always gotta say hi to Nate. He's a very generous guy, and it's those connections that you make, that are special, and and it makes it worth a long while as well. But I mean, I'm a huge Devils fan, but like, you know, get to see the now I'm older, like, I just say hi and then I see
Yeah.
kids, screaming, can I get a stick or can I get a puck? And like, the players make those moments for those kids, and that's a special thing about it.
Yeah, it's really a beautiful thing to see sometimes. Like, you just never know. Like, sometimes, I mean, I'm sure those players have people come to them all the time. So it's probably really hard to, have a positive attitude about it every time. I'm assuming it does get exhausting after a while. You know what I mean? Having people constantly come up to you. You gotta, everyone wants their alone time at some point. Like, funny story enough, like Justin's dad, right? His name is Tom Brady. Justin's dad's name is Tom.
And Justin's a Patriots fan.
Yeah. So, like, whenever his dad goes to the store or something and his card says Tom Brady on it, you know what I mean? He's like, I wonder if he's ever, like, signed. He should sell autographs.
I feel like that's illegal.
Listen, no, it's not illegal. It's his name. He's Tom Brady, you know? He didn't specify which Tom Brady, but you can buy a Tom Brady autograph from him. It's a Tom Brady autograph. He's not lying. He is selling Tom Brady
That's
autographs.
got to be some kind of fraud.
No, it's not. It's his legal name. No fraud at all.
Yeah, but if it's his legal name and he's like signing a picture of Patriots Tom Brady, I feel like that's.
Listen, it doesn't have to be a picture of Tom Brady. What if it's just some random football from his backyard he signs? It's a Tom Brady signed football. It is a Tom Brady signed football.
I mean, fair enough.
Regardless.
Can't argue with that logic.
Legitimately, or like, it's possible. I remember the guy Big Dawes TV. He snuck into Oracle Arena or Chase Center trying to be Klay Thompson. He got onto the court and everything. Extremely funny, but then they got kicked out afterwards.
He got banned too, did he?
Yeah, he got banned. But NHL players. The league is not as popular as some other leagues. Like, I think only 2 guys in the National Hockey League have 1 million followers on Instagram. I think it's just Ovechkin and McDavid.
That's insane.
I'm going to look it up right now.
But, like, you see, like, NBA players, like, wear, like, hockey jerseys.
Yeah.
I think, didn't, like, Donovan Mitchell wear, like, a Rangers jersey? Russell Westbrook wore, like, a Kings jersey. But, like, that's, like, fashion. But, like, it should be leagues with supporting other leagues. Like, hockey has that, like, famed dress code where it's, like, you gotta, like, dress, like, like, shirt and tie and stuff. But, I mean...
I hear you.
But I wish hockey players can express themselves more. That's why, Austin Matthews is, like, Austin Matthews.
I got you.
I mean, he's electric on the ice, and the fashion choice is, like, awesome. I mean, because, like, who he's boys with. I mean, Justin Bieber. So, I mean, that's his guy. So, I mean, get the Drew brand on for National Hockey League, and, that could be epic. I don't know.
Didn't they have the jerseys last year?
The inside-out jerseys.
Those were pretty cool.
Those
I really
are
like
sick.
those.
Those are awesome.
What's your favorite jersey in the league?
Like
Well,
ever?
Not right now.
Ever
Right now.
or-
Right now?
Right now.
Right now?
I like this might be a biased opinion. I obviously like the Devils reverse retros. I think those are really nice.
I like him, but they really give me vibes to, like, Kansas City and Colorado, even though that's the whole point of it. I like him, but I think my favorite one is the Pooh Bear for the Bruins. I think I got that. My brother's girlfriend and I contributed to buying the reverse retro Bergeron jersey for my brother for Christmas, so we got him that. But another jersey I liked is the return of the goat head for the Sabres. I mean, that brings back to when, like, I was little, and, like, when the Sabres were, like, a good team. They had J.P. Dumont, Danny Briere, Brian Campbell, Marty Biron, Ryan Miller. It was insane. Like, it was so cool to look at it. I was like freaking out when I saw it. But I think the Ducks should go back to the Wild Wing Anaheim Ducks logo. Mighty Ducks
The Mighty Ducks were cool
logo.
for sure.
I really like the fisherman jerseys, the Islanders. I like
Yes.
those.
Wow.
I really like those.
I like them too because like I think it's more modern now. It's a more modern, I would say, but I gotta tell you, the Panthers missed the opportunity to have the scratching cat
On the blue jersey?
on the blue jersey.
That would have been great.
I would have bought that right then and there. The palm tree annoys me because the palm tree has always been the secondary logo and it's always on the shoulder. And like that bothers me. Like, and what is Tampa Bay doing with their jerseys? Like, it's like a whole bunch of like lightning bolts and like zigzags and like color coordinated mess. I don't know, but I like the Rangers Lady Liberty with the new color. With the Rangers,
Got you.
Blue. I like that. The Flyers with the Cooper pants is funny. That's pretty cool as well. What else am I thinking? Oh, the California Golden Seals, man. The Sharks. Those are fire. Those are fire. And I think the best jersey in hockey right now, the Kachinas. For the Coyotes.
I love Arizona's jerseys, man.
Oh,
That's
they're awesome.
great.
They're
That's
sick.
great.
They're
Their logo
awesome.
might be the coolest one too in the league,
Kachina
honestly.
is awesome.
If only they didn't
love
play
it.
at ASU, they'd be a more respectable franchise.
Oh, it's not their fault. It's,
They play at Pike. They celebrate at Pike after their wins.
They do have a student section, though.
Yeah, ASU has a student say all the frats get together after the Coyotes wins, and they throw. We're making that. I made that joke every week actually for the past 2 months. But I have the top
It's a good
10.
joke.
I have the top 10 NHL players on Instagram. Guess who number 1 is? Guess who the most followed player is?
McDavid.
Is it? I want to say it's Matthews, but I don't know.
It is Alexander Ovechkin with
I mean, I should
1.5
know.
million followers. Guess who's number 2?
Crosby.
And your guess, Nem?
Is that one McDavid?
Yeah, that one's McDavid.
Okay.
He's got 1 million. And third,
Matthews.
Matthews.
PK Subban.
Really?
You know what? He's popular.
PK Subban has 990K. And that's good for
I have
third.
a question.
That's good for third.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How come these guys don't get 1 million followers?
I don't know the answer to
get
that.
it.
That's
The
a great
NHL
question.
just isn't as popular.
It's not
of a league.
marketable.
I feel like it could be. They just, I don't know.
Just don't let him.
Dwayne Wade has 19.5 million followers, for example. You know what I mean? So I hear you.
Okay, Miami Heat fan.
I think it's the problem is these players aren't like they don't really show their personalities enough, so
They
people
don't.
can't like.
Because-
They're not personable.
Like, I think if there's one person that would show his personality, I think it'd be Travis Zegras.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even before, PK Subban was pretty good, which is
Yeah,
probably
I
why
mean-
he's third in followers.
Yeah, and also he's gonna be an analyst on ESPN,
Yeah.
and he's gonna try to push his hockey agenda because ESPN, really like has been like not covering it as much, and I think it's weird, how that contract is because NBC doesn't have didn't have the coverage anymore. I think TNT is great. You have Liam McHugh, Rick Tocchet, Anson Carter, Keith Yandel, Paul Bissonnette, Wayne Gretzky, that group as well. And then, Catherine Tabbitt just came back. She just signed a deal with TNT, to be a reporter. And, you have, Kenny Albert and, Eddie Olczyk, Keith Jones as well, Darren Payne, Brendan Burke, that crew, John Forsland as well. But I like the TNT coverage, and they get to call the Stanley Cup final this year, which is pretty amazing. And it's weird because now like it's like the streaming stuff as well, and it's I don't know. I mean, I'll ask you, do you like the TNT coverage or the ESPN coverage?
I'm fine with TNT and ESPN coverage, but the problem is like it just since I watch all sports across the board, like NBC really that was kind of where hockey lived.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And NBA games weren't there. Major League Baseball games weren't there. NBC was just they got Sunday Night Football. The NHL was the number one thing that was broadcasted on there, and then the Premier League was also on there too. But it was mostly where the NHL lived, and now to see and what else? It was also aside from NBC, was that the only place NHL games were on really? NBC?
Well, it's essentially NBC, but like, I mean, for those like 15 years. And then, like, ESPN had it before.
And now ESPN has it again,
but
and
like,
Turner Sports has it.
Yeah,
on
but, like,
nice...
what bothers me is that, like there's no care. Like if you...
Yeah,
if
the
you
ESPN
watch,
has to worry about...
If you watch... Yeah, but, like if you watch, like, ESPN now, like, everything's just, like, football or basketball.
Yeah, ESPN, they got their stuff... They got college football and college basketball to worry about. They got the NBA to worry about, you know what I mean? They got... The NFL,
but they have that money though.
Yeah, they do have that money because the NFL not as much because like they only really do Monday Night Football for the NFL, whereas that's more of like a Fox thing, and the CBS takes the NFL, and NBC does Thursday, not Thursday night. That's Prime Video now.
Yeah, I don't
that's
want to talk
Prime
about
Video
that.
now. But the NHL, ESPN Plus, that's one thing I do love. If you have ESPN Plus, you pretty much have every NHL game.
Yeah.
I get to watch most of the Panthers games just because I have ESPN Plus. And, like, you get... That's one thing that's really cool. So it makes it easily accessible
Guess
for
what
fans.
I have?
What you got?
Local market TV.
MSG. MSG. That's so interesting. Like, MSG has its own network. Madison Square Garden has their own TV network.
It used to be Fox Sports Network New York, which is, like...
Yeah. Until Fox got bought out by Bally Sports now, so... Now it's Bally Sports everywhere.
Well, yeah, but they essentially just changed the name.
Yeah. And MSG, like, how does it feel being a Devils fan and you're on MSG network?
Oh, you mean MSG Sports Net, not on the actual network because it's co-owned by the Rangers?
Yeah.
The Rangers? Yeah. It stinks, It stinks to be a little brother.
You are a little brother, honestly. Until you win a chip. Until they win a chip, they won't be a little brother anymore. The day will come. It's going to happen one day.
I actually don't mind it. I actually like watching the MSG streams.
All right. Well, I mean, yeah, MSG streams are cool. And back to the Instagram followers. Guess who's fourth? Take a guess who is fourth in the league in Instagram following.
Jack Hughes.
Austin Matthews.
Yeah, Nem's right again. It's Austin Matthews. He has around 790K, I believe.
That's wild.
Yeah,
like,
right?
It's like, it really bothers me because hockey's such a popular sport in this country and in Canada, and these guys don't have, like, a big following.
But I think the thing is, though, it's kind of starting. Like, I know we were talking a little bit before about the Puck Bunnies kind of taking over a little bit.
Oh, no.
But I think all these like young guys like Jack Hughes and Trevor Zegras, I really think they're helping like expand the audience a little bit.
As in like the Puck Bunnies, like
yes, exactly.
Talking about Jack Hughes. Because I remember watching videos, like compilation videos. Of like people,
there's
people
Puck Bunny
putting
compilations out there on YouTube.
No, not that, but like people just putting like videos of like nonstop like Jack Hughes. Like I think like it was like a rerun of like Kevin Weeks saying Jack Hughes' name. And it was like there's highlights of Jack Hughes and like girls like commenting like always like emojis. Like okay, whatever. I mean, people just like to watch like this kid on the ice and And this kid lives a private life on the ice. So
Oh,
off
yeah.
the ice. So
Off the ice.
off the ice, I
100%.
should say.
But why don't you take a guess at who's fifth in the league in followers?
Crosby.
Yeah.
It's
Crosby.
Malkin.
Ooh.
It is Malkin.
He's a comedian, man. He doesn't get a lot of respect.
Sidney Crosby doesn't really have an Instagram, but he has
Oh, yeah.
his foundation has an Instagram.
yeah,
the
that's
Sidney
right.
Crosby Foundation.
He's not a big social media guy. That's his Bergeron too. He's not a social media guy.
Seguin is sixth. Henrik Lundqvist, Erik Karlsson, Tarasenko, and Patrick Laine. They round out the top 10. But like, they these guys don't even have like 500,000. There's only like 7 guys in the league with 500,000. 2 of them are retired, Subban and Lundqvist. So hopefully they get more of a social media presence. The National Hockey League's account has 5.7 million followers itself, right? Which, think about it like this way. LeBron has like 440 million followers himself. 141. My mistake. So he has, just by himself, like 20 times the 70 times the no, not 70. That's so wrong. But like 25 times the National Hockey League by himself. Maybe even more than that. And, you know, I'm not sure what much. It takes people to be interested. I know. Like, hockey's not for everyone. That's why I have trouble finding people to come on this show sometimes because of that. Because, like, let's say I ran a football show. I wouldn't have problems.
I talked about this slogan yesterday with my mom.
Yeah.
Hockey is for everyone.
Hockey's for everyone?
That like slogan. I don't want to be too controversial in talking about it, but like I don't think it's marketable as it should be. I don't know, but like, you know, they're still working at it, and you know, and whatnot. But I mean, I just don't know. I mean,
I hear you.
something's got to give because NHL needs to market, you know, communities and, you know, their players and the league itself. Like, and, you know, players have to show their personalities. And, you know, players really don't because, like, they're, like, so, like, they're always, like, locked in. And, you know, they say, like, you know, players are, like, their own, like, people.
All right. Well, on that note, we have a minute left here on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair for Breaking the Ice. Any last words? Thank you, Campbell and Nem, for joining me again. A little bit of a tight crew here. We could have had one more, but it's all good. We do with what we can. Any last words for everyone out there listening on this fine Wednesday?
Let's go Giants.
Let's go Giants. Let's go Dolphins. Skylar Thompson's in at quarterback again. 2 is out.
Kansas State.
Oh, man, I can only wish. Nem, how about you?
Make Jesper Bratt an All-Star.
Make Jesper Bratt an All-Star. Yeah, though, it's going to be interesting. I can't wait to see the reserves, you know, released. I really can't wait to see. Like, I want to know which players are missing, which players are not. But from the crew here at Breaking the Ice, you know, it's been a great ride so far. Winter shows are almost done. And you will catch us next week here on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair for more Breaking the Ice content. Stay tuned, everybody. Have a great day.